Hello, viewers. Please welcome Mr. Quaiser Khalid, the Inspector General of Maharashtra Police, with me today. Welcome to my show, Mr. Khalid.
Thank you.
So, today we are going to talk about how you aspire to join the Indian Police Services.
Sure. Please go ahead.
Can you can you give me an insight into what was your thought process when you were thinking about joining the Indian Police Services?
Uh, Sita, I was born in a rural area in a village, in fact, very small village, less than 1,000 population, remote area in a state called Bihar in India. Now, the
Okay.
best that our people had seen at that point of time were some doctors and some engineers. That was the maximum one could have thought of in to achieve in life in reaching as a career option or goal. But I always thought differently. I always thought there has to be something more to life than this. And I dreamt big. Actually, I was quite fond of reading since my early days.
Okay.
All kind of stuff that used to come to our house and home, I used to read. It could have been novels, it could have been film magazines, it could have been any other magazines. And many a time I was scolded also because some reading was not suitable to my age. But that reading inspired me to dream, to visualize, to imagine the things which are not here. For example, at that point of time in late 70s and early 80s, if you imagine India in Bihar and my district area, which was a
Mm-hmm.
subdivision at that point of time, there were hardly newspapers coming to our house. There was no newspaper in rural areas. Radio was the only medium of communication with the rest of
Okay.
the world. So I used to visualize things, how things would have happened. Suppose I hear some story about London at that point of time, or I was reading some detective novel. There was a famous Urdu detective novel writer, Mr. Ibn Safi. Many of his novels were based in Europe and other places. So you can only imagine those places. There were no televisions there. There were no electricity. Forget television, there was no electricity. There were hardly any metal roads. So in those circumstances, you can only visualize the things. And that visualization taught me to dream. And when you dream big. And you want to break free from all the shackles which the then society imposes on you, and you think that there has to be a better meaning to life, there has to be a better option for life. Then I started seeing servants who were posted in my subdivision and district. Sometime I used to pass by their houses, I used to see their vehicles, I used to the influence that they used to wield, and the kind of help they were able to extend to people. So I thought
Right.
maybe civil services is the proper thing for me, and especially police service is something in which I can help people a lot. I can serve the society. So combined with the aura that this service had, and combined with the capability or an
Mhm.
opportunity of service to serve people, to help people, to wipe out tears, to ensure that justice is done, and those kinds of things that inspired me to join the service like this. And I think now when I reflect back, I made a right decision.
I believe this will be a very big inspiration for a lot of young people in India, and especially in Bihar, the state you come from. You have also studied in United Kingdom and in Australia. What kind of exposure did you get there, and do you use it in your day-to-day normal life in India?
Oh, definitely. Both Australia and the UK, they were part of our training modules in which we are exposed to policing practices, challenges, and opportunities in different countries. We go and study their organizational culture, behavior, their service delivery, their goals and aspirations, the way they interact with the society, the way they find a kind of uh, the connection that they have with their society and how they propose to serve them. And also a lot of organizational subculture which exists in every police force. Also, in many countries, we go and see how they could organize some big event, like, for example, Olympic Games or some show game or some other thing, kind of thing. Also, a lot of challenges that they face in terms of traffic, in terms of public order management, in terms of disruptions in the political process, in terms of crime, in terms of I would say the differences between various strata and segments of the society. At some places, it might be color. At other places, it might be religion. It might be other things. Both these exposures and attachments have helped us to understand the policy and practices. For example, we were taken to, I think, Birmingham, which is the second
Okay.
largest city in UK.
Yeah.
So then the police chief there was giving us an overview, and he said a lot of Asians are there in that area, and what kind of issues they faced because they were not knowing the language. There was some, they also did not, were not exposed to their culture and all those things. And also
Right.
how you develop a dialogue with the community and how you win the faith of the
Conflict.
community and loyalty. And also, you see, last 15 or 20 years have been very difficult for policing in terms of threat of terrorism, in terms of threat of extremism and
Mhm.
fundamentalist ideologies at different places, and how the youth get attracted to these things, and how what are the policies and plans that we adopt
Mhm.
to take care of these things, tackle these things, and how we win back these people. Also, a lot of technological input, because you see, because at that point of time when we went there to UK, ISIS was very, very active, and there was a lot
Okay.
of recruitment from different places. So how we
Yeah.
monitor the things, how we do the things, and also in terms of investigation of crime, we were exposed to what you call as dead case files, the
Okay.
crimes which were never detected 30 years or
Mhm.
20 years ago, and they were kept in a file. Now, with the change in technology, like fingerprinting or DNA and other things, how they were able to solve some of these things. So quite a lot of interaction and quite a lot of discussion and debate and learning, rather mutual learning. Because, for example, I'll tell you an example. When we went to Sydney, and the Sydney police was giving us uh, a kind of presentation how they are
Mhm.
handling crowd. So they took
Yes.
us to the stadium where they had organized 2000 Olympic.
Okay.
So they told us that the crowd size was 100,000 people who had
Right.
come to see the things. Then there was a discussion how big a crowd you have handled in your career and all that. At
Yeah.
that point of time, I was Deputy Commissioner of Police, Railways, Mumbai.
Okay.
So when my turn came, they asked me, "How big a crowd have you ever handled?" I said, "Sir, we handle 6 to 7 million people daily who travel by
Yeah.
train in Mumbai."
Yes.
So
Yes.
the population of Sydney at that point of time was 5 million.
I
So,
see.
different places, different kind of challenges, but there are certain techniques and
Correct.
planning and preparation and kind of threat mitigation, which is there. Like when we went to Birmingham, we asked about this rivalry of football clubs and the kind of hooliganism which happens and how do they control, and what is the role of the management of that stadium, what is the role of local police, then how they induct the riot control police and all those things, and also terror
Yeah.
threat and other extremist threat that exist. So a lot of mutual learning, and we were also taken to. In fact, we were attached to the university, your famous university in London, UL,
You
UCL, University
UCL.
College.
Yes.
Sorry, I was just forgetting. So there were certain sessions with the faculty of UCL. In fact, uh, uh, the criminology part, the forensics part, the crime management and other things, and how they study it as a subject, and what are the conclusions that they have drawn out of these studies. There was a lot of discussion on that, and
I
see, different societies have different kind of challenges, but techniques remain the same. I mean, how
correct.
you use those techniques differ from place to place. So it only helped us to broaden our horizon, understand what are the emerging trends. And all in all, it was an exposure which enabled us to learn a lot of things.
That is very good. So tell me, you have been awarded the Marksman Great Shooter in Firing from the Central School of Weapon and Tactics in Indore, and also you have a proficiency in Marathi language from the National Police Academy. You've been recognized. Does this motivate other police officers who you work with or who look up to you or who you talk to?
Yes, yes, because you see, finally, this shooting skill is a kind of life-saving skill. It not only enables you to hit the criminal first and in a better fashion, but it also ensures that you are safe and secure. And in that way, you are also saving the life and property of innocent people in the society. And that doesn't come easy. It requires a lot of effort. In fact, this shooting thing, we were shooting from 500 meters with the help of a
Wow,
telescopic gun.
I
So
understand.
it was quite a difficult thing. It is all outdoor.
I
Now the people see a lot of movies, American Sniper, and all those things. But
yes.
when we were shooting, it is just your rifle and your telescope and a target 500 meters beyond, and
Okay.
uh, and you have to take care of the weather and all those things, and you have to frame things. I mean, the gravity is working there and all those things. So it is quite motivating actually, and it actually pushes you to do even better. And as far as language is concerned, in India, it is a country of unity and diversity. So
Yes.
different states have different languages. For example, the area from which I come, I was taught, educated in my up to my secondary level in Urdu. I knew
Correct.
Hindi, I knew Persian, I read Persian also, and then English, of course. Then when you come to a state like Maharashtra, where the Marathi is the official language of the state, you have to learn
Correct.
Marathi, and if you want to interact with the people, and especially the rural people who do not know
Yes.
any other language, you have to learn their local language and interact with them in that language. That helps you understand them better and reach out to them better. So it was quite an effort in the beginning, but gradually after practice, we developed that skill, and now we're pretty proficient. In fact, all of us, the officers who have come from outside, but they're working in
Mhm.
this state, they have learned this language. In India,
That is
in fact, I'm seeing my batchmates who have gone to Jammu and Kashmir. They are proficient in Urdu now, and many who go to South India, they learn Tamil or Telugu or Kannada or Malayalam, uh, uh, which otherwise we wouldn't have been exposed to. So it is
correct.
quite enriching. And
It is like
then you
when
are
people are traveling, they're learning the languages of other countries to integrate and
exactly.
understand.
India is country of countries that ways. I mean, so many
Exactly.
languages, so many
Correct.
languages.
So you started the first women commando unit of the Mumbai police. Again, that is a huge thing because in a country like India, women empowerment is really needed. And you have again shown something which is uh, not just in normal day to day life, but in a police force like Maharashtra, and especially a city like Mumbai.
In fact, we started this thing much before this Nirvaya thing happened in Delhi. Uh, uh, by that time, when I was posted as Additional Commissioner of Police, Mumbai City, East Region, I had a fair exposure of the city. Uh, Prior to that, most of my service had been in rural areas or small urban areas and one big town in Nagpur. The culture is very different in those places. They are primarily agrarian areas where agriculture is the mainstay and some industry has come up and urbanization has taken place. But Mumbai is a different ballgame altogether. Mumbai, as they say, never sleeps. So,
Yes.
and the participation of women in the workforce is pretty high, and the kind
Okay.
of liberal attitude that we see, the kind of freedom that we see in Mumbai, and the kind of life that we see in Mumbai, there are few places in India which can match in terms of liberty, in terms of safety and security, and in terms of choices that people have. So in Mumbai, women are out of their houses till late, either due to work or for leisure or for meeting people and all that kind of thing. And also it has a lot of institutions where the girls are getting educated and all that. Now, as you know, in every society there are people who do not conform to the norms of the society, and given a chance they will try to harass girls or
Yes.
women. That kind of you know people exist everywhere. So I realized this, that even in Mumbai, even though it is a very safe city, this tendency is there. Especially what I used to go to schools and colleges, and meet students and speak to them. So they used to tell us, "Ki, sir, when the school closes for the day, and we come out, a
Yeah.
lot of youth and other people we see standing in front of our colleges. Sometimes they pass on comments and kind of things like that." Uh, so we thought ki we must do two things. One, we should create uh, predominantly women forwards, which will uh, take care of this menace. And secondly, these people will also train those students in
Correct.
self-defense, so that even if they're alone, if somebody tries to harass them, they're able to defend themselves. Uh, there were other threats also, like terror threats and other things, for which we raised the men battalion. For the women battalion, which we started, I think, in November 2011 or 12, that was a time when I thought of raising a woman battalion and doing this thing, tasking them with this thing. And it was quite successful. It set the trend for rest of the units to follow. And also these women became our contact point with all these colleges and schools where the girls were studying, and we got to know a lot of things from them. In fact, then we started a system of post box kind of thing. We used to put a post box and say, if you have any issue, just put a letter here and we will
Correct.
take care of the problem. So I think when I look back and reflect, that was one of the key areas of improvement, which helped us avoid kind of situation which other cities witness in India. And atrocities on women were never very prominent in Mumbai. And even today, the police has got their own women patrol units, women help unit, and all that. These all things developed after that, but that was the first step that we took. And um, I feel happy when I see that the participation of women has only gone up. And you ask any girl in Mumbai, she will say that she feels safe, she feels secure, and she feels free to choose any occupation, business, or profession she wants to. So in a way, I think it is pretty satisfying to see, and that thing has carried on.
No, it is. I mean, you have other achievements like give way for the ambulance campaign that you started. You also started the drug addiction program for the youth. So you have done a lot of campaigns, and I'm sure it must have been very well received, not just by the state, but by the whole country. But again, what was the inspiration? What can you tell the youth, not just of India but the world, like what is it related to drugs, or what is it related to, say, a campaign like the give way to the ambulance? What kind of thought process was going in your mind?
Uh, I was always very close to the society. I mean, unlike many other officers who develop a different kind of attitude and they try to keep themselves away from people, I was always a people's man. I always interacted with them. I used to listen to their grievances very patiently and used to find out what we can do, what is doable, especially what are the low hanging fruits which we can do immediately. So give way to ambulance is in fact an expression of that thing, when we realize that a lot of people die because they do not get medical aid and attention quickly. And having worked in railway police, and
Yes.
you will be shocked to know that when I was working there, we used to have around 3,500 odd deaths every year, because
Mhm.
people used to get cut while they were crossing the tracks.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, in
Okay.
Mumbai, the murders were around 200, 250 odd per year.
Okay.
but
Mm-hmm.
around 3,000, 3,500 people were losing their life because they were getting run over by train. So,
I see.
and many more getting hit. So the
Okay.
rule was that the golden hour must, in the golden hour, the patient must
Yeah.
get medical attention. How
Okay.
do you get medical attention? You must, considering the traffic situation in Mumbai, and I don't know if you have ever been here. In fact, every metro, you never know
Yes.
when the congestion will take place, when there will be jam, and when there will be difficulty. And
Correct.
unfortunately, what has happened in Mumbai, the most of the big hospitals or government hospitals are in old areas where the lanes
Okay.
are narrow, where the roads are pretty choked.
Mm-hmm.
So we came up with this idea that give way to ambulance before life gives way to death.
Okay.
So that was the slogan that we coined, and we launched a campaign where we were just requesting, in case you hear the siren of the ambulance, just give way.
Give
Because
way. Yeah.
in Western countries there is a beautiful system that everybody will take their vehicle to one side and the ambulance shall pass. But in
Pass.
India, considering the traffic situation, especially in Mumbai, it was very difficult. So we said, "Okay, you just let the ambulance pass. You take your vehicle little to this or that side, let it cross you."
I
And
see.
thereafter, the result was that in 2 years' time, we were able to create a green corridor where the
Mm-hmm.
for transplantation of,
Yes.
of organ from one cadaver to a patient which who was 15-20 kilometers away. It reached on time, so that consciousness among the people has come, and it is gradually increasing. And at least I think that a good number of lives would have been saved and has been saved because of this drive. And this is something which humanity calls for. And we
Correct.
as
Correct.
police force thought that we must do something to help
I
out
have
these things.
I have read
So
about this as well. I have definitely. I'm going to come to the poet and the author in you now. So give our audience, tell them you have this side of a poet and author in yourselves. You have written 2 books. So please do elaborate some information for our audience today.
you see, any creative pursuit, be it writing, be it painting, be it any other thing,
Yeah.
is the byproduct of restlessness.
Uh-huh.
Creative people are restless people,
Yes.
and secondly, the realities of life hit them very hard. I often compare this to brain hemorrhage. If you see from
Okay.
outside, there will be hardly any injury, but if
Yeah.
you open the skull, you will find a lot of injuries inside. So, a creative person is a very restless person, and he thinks very differently. For example, I've narrated this somewhere that as a part of our training, we were taken, there is a paper in police training which is called forensic medicine. Now,
Okay.
every other paper deals with human being when he's alive. But this forensic medicine starts with death. So, as a normal person, you go to a class and you see what happens after 12 hours, or 24, 36 hours, 72 hours, and how all these things take place, how the body gets destroyed, and photographs of different stages. And you feel horrible. I mean, person
Mm.
like me
Yeah.
used to feel horrible in that class. And I used
Okay.
to see dead bodies in different deformed shapes and all that. And over and
Okay.
above that, we were taken to witness post-mortem in a
Okay.
hospital, in a big hospital. Now, if you go to forensic science department, forensic medicine department of a hospital, there are a lot of dead bodies stored there, na, unclaimed dead bodies and all that.
Mm.
And there is a stench. I mean, the hospital where we went,
Correct.
I felt that there's a very disturbing kind of stench. And then people were sitting there, they were laughing, they were eating as if nothing has happened in the midst of those dead, who were stored there. So we were
Right.
taken to that room, and then the doctor came, his assistant came. So he asked, "What is today? What is there today?" It is as
Okay.
if we asked, "What is there on the menu?" No, it is like
Hmm.
this.
Yeah.
So he said, "Three dead bodies have come." He said,
Okay.
"Okay, bring one." So a body
Okay.
of a lady was brought, and we all officers. We were around
Right.
70, 65 odd officers there. And we were all around that big table. Now the body is laid. and then rigor mortis develops and it becomes twisted. So you cannot take out the clothes, you have to cut the clothes. So
Okay.
the clothes were cut. Now a person like me is seeing that thing and his mind is working differently. His mind is working that throughout our life we try to save our dignity and we try to cover ourselves, and we do everything to hide so many things from other people. We don't
Yeah.
want to be exposed. And especially, I mean, if you come to India and the subcontinent, it is a different kind of thing. A woman will always keep herself covered. But
Correct.
then
Correct.
this now the you start examining the body, na? And look, there is injury here. These are the symbols, symptoms. This is the impact. That kind of thing. The doctor is teaching us. And now the skull is opened, and you know how it is opened.
Yeah.
Very very disturbing and distressing scene, and then the cavity is opened, and I couldn't tolerate, and so I went out of the room just to
Okay.
compose myself. So what happens, the things which we witness in daily life, for a creative person the impact is very deep, and he starts reflecting not only on that issue but on a larger issue. For example, I'll narrate another example. Once I was going to Delhi and I was reading this in flight magazine. So there's a museum here in the city of Mumbai. Uh, by that time, I had already spent 7, 8 years or 9 years in Mumbai city. Now, I had never visited that museum, and there was around 8, 10 page write up on that museum, a lot of photographs. I was reading that and was thinking that how come I have never visited this? So had it
This
been so simple at that point of time, it would have stopped. But then how the mind works? Then I started, what is my relationship? I have been here for 8, 10 years. I have never visited. Am I related to this city? What is my relationship with this city? And then it went to what is the relationship of me with myself? How do I relate with myself? What is the
Yeah.
purpose of that relationship? What is the dimension of that relationship? And then it kept me disturbed throughout the journey. And then one ghazal I was able to write on
Hmm.
that kind of disturbed psyche.
Yeah.
कि यकीन है यूं तो मुझे भी क्या आदमी हूं मैं, यकीन है यूं तो मुझे भी क्या आदमी हूं मैं, दरून ज़ात मगर खुद से अजनबी हूं मैं, दरून ज़ात मगर खुद से अजनबी हूं मैं. Though I believe that I also belong to human species. यकीन है यूं तो मुझे भी क्या आदमी हूं मैं. But when I look inside, दरून ज़ात मगर, when I look
Hmm.
inside, I find myself to be completely uh, ajnabi. I mean, I don't recognize myself.
Right.
I'm unrecognizable. No relationship with this form, with that soul. So that kind of
Yeah.
thing comes, you know.
Okay.
So poetry is all about that. Those feelings that you
Right.
actually feel deep down, and somehow, by grace of God, you get words to express them.
Right.
So
Right.
it is that journey.
That is great. I mean, it is. It gives you an insight that how one has to relate, or one should relate with life, nature, and the surroundings where they live. Which is
Undoubted.
again, yeah. I've just learned something new from you. Um, so one more question is that what do you think about the current situation of Mumbai, Maharashtra, and India as a whole today?
I'll start with the world. In fact, I'm an eternally hopeful person. I
Okay.
used to travel a lot, very frequent visits to different places, government for government purposes, sometimes for my own different things. Last almost a year, there hardly has been any travel. So that
Okay.
disconnection is so apparent. I mean, I was a person who used to be in the midst of people. People used to
Right.
come with their problems, and we used to try to help them. Last 10 months, people don't come. They're not allowed at many times. People are afraid of each other. But I'm
Correct.
an eternally hopeful person, and when I look on the time frame, say in a 10 years or 20 years time frame, a lot has changed, and things have changed for better. There are challenges, but every society faces those challenges. And I'm sure that with the wisdom that we have, age old wisdom, and the kind of culture we have been able to develop, that of tolerance, that of unity in diversity, that of
Yeah.
accommodation, that of understanding, I think we will
Hmm.
sail through these hard times. And
Okay.
with the diaspora all around the world, we learn a lot. They went there, the first generations, they did a lot of struggle, they survived,
Yes.
they flourished, they prospered. And now
Correct.
I'm seeing all around the world people reaching to highest positions.
Yeah.
So in India, I don't think we can ever lose hope. It is a country of hope, actually. Country of hope. So
It's a it's an intertwined country of people live on hope every day. That's what I think.
Mumbai is, if you come to Mumbai, you'll find that thing. I mean, we have seen very difficult times. I myself have seen. I was in South Mumbai, and a
Okay.
bomb went off at Gateway of India. So there was a
I see.
huge blast. I was around
Okay.
a kilometer or two away. So as a police officer, I could sense there is something has gone wrong. So on foot, I went to see there. The bomb had exploded maybe 10 minutes ago, and this Taj Hotel is in front of that particular was in front of that
Gateway.
spot, Gateway of India. So the colored glass on the window of Hotel Taj had shattered. By the time I reached there, they had started repairing it. So that is the
Okay.
spirit of Mumbai. So in
That is
15-20 minutes,
everything was delivered.
yeah, see, we have seen blast in train, we have seen other heinous crimes, but life has moved on, and we have reconstructed, and we have done better than what we used to be. So we have challenges, huge challenges, because a country of at least say 1.3 billion people will never
Yes.
be uniform. It will never be
Correct.
homogeneous. It will have its challenges. And that is also there's a good learning in that those challenges. In fact, our whole history has taught us to learn from these uh, failings and successes, and then move on.
See,
So
absolutely.
in a way, I think that's what
You
is
have
happening here.
you have been awarded the leadership award by the Indian Business and Professional Council of Dubai. So, I'm sure the kind of leadership skills you have. Can you give one example to our audience today before we conclude this interview? One great example of leadership.
Leadership is all about how you share your dream with the people with whom you work and make them believe in that dream. So I have one very simple formula for that. I say I must leave this place better than what I inherited or what was given to me. Be it a small position, be it a big position, we must make a positive difference. And that positive difference will only come when I stop cribbing where I've been placed, where I've been posted, what kind of assignment I've been given, and start focusing and looking at what is the brighter side of that thing. I think over a period of time, people start believing in you, and they start sharing their dream, and they start working for it. And together we achieve those things. And one thing that I've always learned is that when it comes to credit, you always take a back seat. Let the people who are working with you be in the front. And if you
Let them
respect
take it.
them, exactly, they will do twice the hard work than what they have been doing now. And your organization will prosper, it will go ahead. So that is one thing. And secondly, I've realized that positions would change, they would differ, but the basic humanism must be there. We are humans first, and we are in a human organization. We do not deal with robots, we deal with people who are alive. They have their problems, they have their issues, they have their shortcomings, they have their strengths. So I must focus on strengths and try to minimize the weaknesses. If I start complaining about the weaknesses and other things uh, which people do not have, probably I will never be able to carry my mission forward. So life has
Correct.
taught these lessons to us, and this is how I at least operate here. So, and
No,
lastly,
absolutely, I agree.
last one thing I always thought, and this is my one of the purposes of life, to give back to the society. I've taken so much from them. I'll always indebted to them, but I must return something. I must return something, and before I die, I must be able to create many, many more Quaiser Khalid, and people who would excel and surpass me and go much beyond what I could achieve in life. If I could be a medium, if I could be of help to these people, and especially those who are not so privileged in life, I think it would be a life well lived.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Mr. Kassar Khalid, for giving us time and sharing your wisdom, experience, and everything with our audience today. I look forward to interview again very soon because I don't think I was able to cover all my questions. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Pleasure. Pleasure.